All right, welcome back everybody. I got a little bit of free time today. Again, I've been trying to work on the garden tractors here a little bit. Just some odds and ends. What I'd really like to start doing here is I got this 982 super diesel conversion I've been working on now for a while, and my plan is here hopefully in the next week or so, I'd like to get this tractor moved up to the other garage where it's heated for the winter, and I'm going to start getting the power steering mounted in this and everything, all the lines hooked up, everything fit perfect, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this thing painted, and hopefully, I'd like by spring, I doubt it'll happen, but by at least next summer be able to take it to some shows. So one of the things I have to do yet to the engine, here's the little D600 Kubota diesel. I got the radiator out of it. It's the last thing that I have to do. It needs painted, so I'm going to try to get that painted here this week, cleaned up. I did unmount the radiator because the piece that goes on here for the air cleaner, that was broken. I still have it, but it's missing the screen and it's all cracked and it's no good. Now, these are very hard to find on these little diesel garden tractors. They were a weak point and they break off. So let me go over to the 1772 and show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so here it is. This is the piece that goes on the intake of the air cleaner. It's got some perforated steel on there to keep larger debris and stuff out. And these just clamped on here on the air cleaner, and they were small enough to keep them from hitting the radiator. But these parts, these break a lot. They're made from a weak plastic. They get old, they get brittle, these things vibrate around. So to find these parts, they're just not common to find this part, and when you do find it, it's extremely expensive. So I'm always thinking on ways to fabricate and make things. So I come up with an idea to make one of these, and I figured I'd go ahead and share it with you guys. All right, so the idea I come up with, and like I said, I sit around and I think about things all the time. This is black ABS. This is a coupler. It's 1.5 inches to 3 inches, so this should be roughly about the size of the inlet that's on the original. And the problem with this is the width of the inlet on this, I think, is like 1 5/8 inches, and the width for the inlet on this pipe is like 1 7/8 inches. So if you put this on there, it don't fit. There's no way you're going to be able to clamp that on there. So I got these thin strips of rubber, and I keep this kind of stuff. I usually don't throw anything away, just because you never know when you're going to need it. And in this situation, it paid off. I'm sure you've seen how unorganized I am out here because I do have a hard time of throwing things away. This rubber seal, I cut it down. I tried a different couple thicknesses. This one worked perfect because it's about the same thickness of the lip in here. Now I could take and grind this lip off in here, and I could get this pipe to slide over the inlet pipe maybe another 1/4 inch if I needed more room to clear the radiator. But I like having the lip in there, and the reason is it gives something for this rubber seal to hold on to so it don't slide off. And when I put that rubber in there and put it on, it works perfect. So it's nice and steady. So the plan is I'm just going to take a hacksaw, and the reason I'm using a hacksaw, if you try to use a cutoff wheel and stuff on ABS, I found that the speed, it'll actually start to melt it, and you could probably do more damage. So I'm going to try to take a hacksaw, I'm going to cut a line in a cross pattern on this, and then I got some clamps. Now, the original clamp that came with it, this isn't large enough to go over the new pipe. You can use these worm type clamps. I did buy one of these just in case to have both of them. I generally don't like the worm clamps, especially for an application like this, because this diesel, it's going to be vibrating, and with all the vibration and everything, these can, if you try to over tighten them to get a nice tight seal, they can back off. I'm going with the T-bolt style. This clamp I think is 2 1/4 opened up all the way, and that's the minimum of a clamp you're going to need because this just slides over there perfect. And when I slide this T-bolt type clamp over there, this one's stainless steel, so I don't have to worry about it rusting, and I start to clamp that down with this nylon lock nut, it's going to be about perfect. So 2 1/4, that should be perfect. Now I am going to have to cut part of this bell off of here, and the reason of that is with this on here, it's going to stick out too far and hit the radiator. So my plan is to come off of here about maybe 1/4 inch from the inside of this. I'm going to cut this bell off of here, and then I'm going to put a piece of perforated steel in there. Originally I was going to put RTV silicone in there and just glue it in, but I come up with an idea. Instead of buying another piece of pipe that fits in here, I'm going to cut a small, like less than 1/4 inch ring off the end of this, and then I'll cut it to where I can, you know, sort of compress it in to where it'll slide in here. I'm going to put my steel in there, and then I'm going to glue that ring in over top of it, and that'll hold the perforated steel in place. By cutting this down, it should give me plenty of room from the radiator to not be a problem. Now, you can buy perforated steel from Menards in a sheet. It's the only place I've seen it that really sell it in a sheet that's the most, I guess, cost-effective way, but it's still like $30 or $40. This perforated steel was used on Cub Cadets, especially the 82 series. It was used in the front grills. That's where this came out of. This was one of the early styles. It was on a 982. It got broken. You can see the grill marks on it. Then they had a problem with grass collecting on here and catching fire, so they did away with this. They also used this perforated steel underneath, like where the drive shafts would go, the mower deck. And also, they used it on the front grills. So you can find this around. I know Adams Small Engine, Greenwich, this is all parts if you go over there. Tractor shows, you can find this. Even a front grill, it's perfect. So my plan is I'm going to try to trace this out for the center. And I've used hole saws in the past on perforated steel. And I'm going to tell you, it's pretty tricky because the little teeth want to keep hitting all these holes and it jumps around. It doesn't cut a perfect hole. So I'm going to try to use a cutoff wheel and just cut it in little sections. And it don't have to be perfect because when I slide it in there and then glue that ring in there, it's going to cover up any imperfections anyway, and it should lock this in place. So I'm going to go up to the other garage. I'll bring you along with me. It's warm up there, and I'm going to start cutting on this, and we'll see here later tonight if I can get this on here and if it'll clear the radiator. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do to get this started is I'm going to take this and I'm going to put the perforated steel over this. That way I can get a good trace outline here. And by what I'm going to be using is one of these silver Sharpies. I really like these, especially for working with metal and other things. You can really see them when you draw something out with them. It really stands out. I'm going to cut that first. I'm going to get at least like I said, the perforated steel cut. And then the next plan of attack will be cutting about 1/4 inch or less off the rim of this to put it in here. And how I'm going to do this is I'm just going to mark it with the Sharpie. I'll just mark it back, hit it in little spots, and I'm just going to use some of this painter's tape and just go around it. You know, that way when I'm using my saw to cut, I have a guide to get as straight of a cut as I possibly can by using this. So once I cut that off, I'm going to make a test cut somewhere in here. That way I can measure from the lip to there, and then that gives me an idea of where I need to be for my depth on this so that I can put some tape on there and cut this. And then I'll cut the crosshatch pattern in here with the saw. I'll just go across it, and all that's going to do is leave me some points to where when I tighten that clamp down on here, each one of them will clamp down on this rubber and it should hold it in place. So I'll show you a little bit as we go as I do this, and then we'll take it back and see how it works. All right, got my outline all drawn out there. So now I'll just take the cutoff wheel and start cutting. Okay, so that's all I really wanted to do was get just a square on each side cut out. Now it'd be easier for me to take this cutting wheel and go around here and cut the circle out. I'll just continue on all around here, and if it don't fit perfect, it's not a big deal. I can put this in the grinder and smooth this out. All right, so I got it cut. I did mess up a little bit there. It was hard seeing with the sparks. So it doesn't quite fit perfect right there, but what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take it over to the bench grinder, and I'll just go around here, and I should be able to clean this up enough to make it a round circle. All right, so I just went to the bench grinder. I just went around in a circular motion to make it nice and round and perfect. And this is pretty thin gauge steel, but it goes right in there. So that'll back right up in here to this bezel. And then once I cut this piece off and I clamp that down to put it in here, that ring will go in there and it'll hold this. Once I glue that in place, it should hold this right in place perfect and keep it from ever falling out of there. Let me get cutting and then I'll show you this when I get it all done. So I marked my tape around here. I just went and marked 1/4 of an inch. I used the tape as a guide. So now when I use the saw and I cut this, I can stay right on the edge of this tape and hopefully try to guide this and judge this all the way around with the saw so that I get a nice, clean, even cut while doing this. All right, so I got the lip cut off the end, and then I just cut some of this out. And by compressing this, by giving it room like that now, this will be able to fit right inside here. So once I get the rest of this cut, I'll put this in there, the perforated steel, compress this, and then by using some PVC cement, as I get it in there, I'll just push that in there and just glue that right in place. So then this will, I know this isn't gonna fall out. I don't have to worry about siliconing in there. And this cut should be even or about right with this line here. So it should look somewhat professional when it's done as well. All right, so I got my bevel cut and it was about 1/2 inch off of here is what I ended up cutting that as. And I did cut the cross hatch in the back here. So when I do put my piece of rubber in here and clamp this down, this will give this something to squeeze on, but I fit everything, and all I have to do now is use some PVC glue and glue this in place. But I did test fit everything and it works perfect. So that's what it's going to look like. And we'll mount this here, and this should have enough room to clear everything of the radiator. Let me get this glued in place and then we'll go back and take a look at it and see how it works. All right, so now for the test, I got the clamp on, I got the piece of rubber in there. We're gonna tighten this up and see how it looks. There we go, it's on there. It's not going anywhere. Looks pretty good. Now I just gotta see if the radiator is gonna fit with this one on here. All right, so that radiator is gonna be about right there, and that's gonna give me more than 1/2 inch for airflow. I'll bring the camera up here to help show you guys a little bit better here. But with that radiator, it's gonna be mounted, it's gonna be about right there. So there's about 1/2 inch. I could have, like I said, I could grind out inside there and I could move this back about 1/2 inch more, and that would put it about right in there. But I still think that's plenty of clearance for this, and that should fit around the side panels and everything. So not bad, I'm pretty happy with that, and I think it's gonna work out real well. All right, so I know this video is only really gonna help the diesel guys on this, but I do like to post videos when I find tips and tricks on these garden tractors and doing different things. And I do have some other projects that I'm doing to this 982 diesel swap that's a little different than was original. And I'll continue to share them as I go. So for those of you who haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. Hopefully when I get this all put together, we'll see if this works 100%, but I'm real happy with it. I did want to note, I had less than $10, well, right about with the fitting and the clamp, $10 or $11 in this whole project. So 2 hours of my time, roughly, and about 10 bucks. It's a lot better than spending $50 or $100, $75 on a part, trying to find one of them for anyone out there that has a diesel and that's broken and missing. So, like I said with that, I could have ground that inside down a little bit if you wanted more room, but I'm happy with that. I think it's gonna be just fine. Hopefully I can get some more going on this diesel here this winter and I can make some more videos to show you guys. Thanks for watching.